Hello, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com. I want to talk about something that's been kind of funny, been going on with me. Let me see, make sure I got this right. Yeah. I think it's funny. I'm on Match, and just about all these old gals, they always say no games. They don't want to play games. And what's really funny is all these gals that I get connected with anyway, they all play games. It is funny because I'm not limited. I'm communicating with people all over the world, and it's funny because this gal, we do texts, and like on Viper or WhatsApp, that type of stuff. And it's funny because when she texts me, she'll say put you, like the letter U, instead of the word you. You know, I know that one. That one I know. And but in the text world, they use a lot of that kind of stuff. And I mean, they just put letters, and the letters they're not always as easy as you. So, and she uses these all the time, and I'm always getting confused, and I really don't know exactly what it is that she's talking about, and so I'm always asking to clarify whatever it is that she's saying. So that's one thing, and the ones. Hola. And you gotta remember, I'm down here. I'm communicating with Spanish, in which my Spanish is. You ever heard anybody speak English, and they're foreigners, and their English is really super bad? Mine is a lot worse than that. And so what little bit I know in Spanish, nobody understands what I'm saying. And so we always have communications problems. So it's like a game when we try to communicate. So when these gals come up with all these things like you, the letter U, when they communicate like that, or when they say things like, well, you should have known. Why should have I known? I think women give men more credit than what we deserve. So, or at least for what I deserve. And like I say, even my own children said that I speak with small words. I don't use big, complicated words. And the reason is like I say, my family, a lot of people I know aren't really good in English, so I never did get in the habit of using big words. I use words that are simple to understand, so people know what I mean. So I think it's funny when you use games and to communicate, because it's funny because when you know me, I seldom do I get serious. I don't like getting serious, and so I'm normally having a lot of fun. But when people use communications and they complicate communications, is not fun for me. And so I get serious because I'm trying to understand what it is that we're talking, or what's going on. And because once I understand what's going on, well then, hey, I'm good for anything once I understand. So, and it's just to let you know how strange the difference, the communications pattern from men to women. Okay, I'm always, you even hear on YouTube, how many times do you ever hear me say, well, come on down, come on down, son. I'm always saying that. And it would be neat if I was able to, that's okay, process. It'd be neat if everybody would be so straightforward in their communications. I've even had, I told somebody that emailed me, I said, well, come on down. He said, well, I know you're kidding, and on his response, I told him, well, I'm not kidding, just come on, no big deal. And it's funny because I had a guy, I do travel companion, and I've got a guy that we already went on one trip, and then he just out of nowhere, he says, do you want to go to Colombia? And I said, yeah, why not? And I tried to get there once before. That's when I told you the story about going to Venezuela. We were on our way to Colombia when we got in all the trouble in Venezuela. So, but this time we're going to go to Colombia. But see, when we went to Venezuela, going to Colombia, we flew at that time. This time we're going to take motorcycles. So, how difficult was it for me to say, oh yeah, okay, let's go. Just let me know what time, whenever you figure out when you want to go, and just let me know about what time and how long we're going to be gone. See, that's communications between man and man. That's another thing on these gals. I'm starting to think now on these gals. I think whenever I find a gal, I'm just going to tell her, well, come on down here, I'll pick you up at the airport. And because that's going to tell me right there if they don't have time, they're worried, or whatever. Remember I told you, any excuse works. It doesn't make any difference. So so if they come up with whatever excuse that they can't make it, that's okay. That tells me that we're probably not going to be able to do any kind of relationship anyway. So I'm thinking about doing that. But the thing is, women don't think that plain and simple. So they have to make a game out of this thing. And that's another reason why, in the way of just telling the woman to come on down, the younger woman would be more apt to respond to something like that than the older women. And I thought, I've had some older women ask me, well, why do you want such an older woman or a younger woman? Well, that was one of the reasons. I thought as the women get older, they wouldn't play so many communications games. And but that hasn't been my experience. A matter of fact, the younger ones really, they play the games more on romantic type games. But when it comes to doing the communications, it's much easier to do it straightforward with a younger woman than an older woman. I think now I don't know if it's the same with men or not. I'm not quite sure how that works. For me and all of the men that I associate with. Now you got to remember, I've talked about getting proper friends. My friends, they have self-confidence. My friends are achievers. My friends, they do things with their lives, and so I can say things like that to them, and they can give me a response. Most of the time, the hardest part is just trying to get the time set up where we can, do time-wise, get things done. But if we're doing things for each other, like I say, it's usually pretty easy. It's just the time is what we have to get fixed up. It's the same thing now. I got friends say, well, you need to come. No problem. The problem is going to be the time that I can get to get there. But like I say, my friends know and understand the situation I'm in, and they understand the time type stuff. But and like I say, whenever I get done with the situation I'm in, then time will play less factor. And but like I say, you would be. I've been really shocked when it comes to playing games. How the communications is really kind of strange. Like I say, now my wife, maybe it's just me, but my wife learned a long time ago, if she wants a response from me, she is direct. She says exactly what it is that she wants a response from. She doesn't say things, beating around the bush. And that's another reason, like I say, when I get emails, sometimes they're real lengthy, and I respond back and I tell them, I'm sorry, I want to respond, but you're going to have to, get your email shorter, and ask a question or two. Don't make a whole bunch, because like I say, it takes me a while to respond. Well, you notice one simple question, and I make it. It takes me a long time to answer a simple question. And that's because I've learned simple questions aren't all that simple. That's why I try to keep my life simple. And that's why I say, anytime when somebody complicates something, I know I'm going to get screwed off the deal. If it's a simple black and white kind of thing, I can figure it out. When you start putting a lot of gray involved, it makes too many opportunities for things to go bad. And so that's why I try to keep things simple. And I do the same thing in my communications. And I suggest that if everybody kept communications simple, I think things would go a whole lot easier all the way around. This is Mike, NoStressMike.com.